and from it a demon of fire.
Hello everyone, welcome to Shelf Space. I'm your host, Rodimus13, and today we are reviewing the Iron-Blooded Orphans HG Gundam Flauros, also known as the Ryosei Go. Like our previous review, there's going to be a few surprises with this one. But first, let's take a look at the box. So first we have an illustration of the Gundam Flauros in its pink and white with yellow accents coloration that is commonly associated with the Ryosei Go named suits. We also have its transformed state there, which is more of a quadrupedal gun platform than anything else, and an illustration of the pilot. On this side, we have photographs of the Gundam Flauros, all painted up and looking quite nice. Mine doesn't quite look like this, but in some ways I think mine looks better. I'm certain you will all agree. There are little write-ups about all the different things it can do, and if you wish, you may read them. I will not read them for you. Are you done? Good. On this side, we have the same illustration as the front, all the logo information, and a blue Bandai logo. This was a reprint of the kit, so now it has the blue logo instead of the red. Then, on this side, we have more photographs that show off its ability to use different weapon systems and packs that you could get, sold separately, of course. We don't have anything quite like that, though. Then we have the barcode with the marking that indicates that this was originally 1,400 yen. On this side, it's the same as the other, but we have the Bluefin logo. And that is that. Enough of this. Enough of it. Let's look at the figure itself. And here it is. And as you can see, I've done a little bit of work with it. It may be difficult to tell at first, but all of the pink parts have actually been completely repainted. And I have added weathering to it using weathering powder, and as opposed to my usual dry brushing technique. And I did not use hardly any of the stickers. I just found them abhorrent. So as you can see, all except the camera stickers have been abandoned. You will never see them again. But what, you may ask, are these markings? Water slides. Bandai was kind enough to put out a nice set of them, so I utilized those as opposed to the actual stickers that came with the kit. And I do believe it is the better for it. Though I must say they were a different experience than what I am used to. They took quite a bit longer to soak and be able to transfer over than the non-Bandai water slides that I've used in the past. Or perhaps that it's just something from those. I don't know. I don't care. We're moving on. So, moving right along. The figure itself is quite impressive. If a bit on the back-heavy side and a little bit cumbersome over here. A trade-off of sorts for its transformed state. Let's take a quick look at articulation, starting with the head. The head is on a standard joint that allows for a bit of movement back and forth and rotation. Though you get blocking from the collar behind it. While we're here, let's take a look at the details. He has a very interesting head for a Gundam, for a mobile suit in general. which is a fairly common thing for the Iron-Blooded Orphans line. But it makes it stand out. As you can see, here are the water slide decals for those little eye details there, which were far better than the stickers that they would have had you place, which would have had a large pink section on there. I also hand-painted the white tips. And of course, there's the weathering. And that is an issue that I have. That V-fin does not wish to stay in if you touch it too often. It pops off quite easily. At some point, I may have to actually glue it in place before it disappoints me any further. Let's move along. The arms are about what you would expect for a Iron-Blooded Orphans kit. You have a ball socket joint into a polycap butterfly joint that allows for upward movement, like so, with rotation around, though you must be careful because there is bulk in the back that will interfere with things, or at the very least, it will collide with it. This is supposed to rotate at least a little bit to provide extra movement, but for the most part it is stationary on mine because of the paint and top coating. But otherwise, you can move it up quite nicely, and then bring it back down. Elbow is at a 90-degree bend, single joint. Maybe a little bit more than 90 degrees. Your wrist is at a standard ball socket joint. That's for the usual movement thereof. And this little shield-like thing is on some jointing for its transformation. Though if you wish, you can deploy it like this, I suppose, for some sort of bashing attack. Options, they're available to you. Waist has the standard IBO Gundam frame waist, where you have a bit of an ab crunch, though in this case the weight in the back tends to keep it always tilted in one direction, so you lose that a little bit, but you do still have the ball socket joint at the hip, allowing for the movement like this. The legs are also fairly standard for an IBO kit. No front skirt allows for a quite nice forward kick, and then you have your double jointed knee that allows for a fairly nice bend, though the armor is preventing it from bending all the way. Focus, you. There. The ankle is about what you would expect. Really? Really? You're going to do this to me while I'm recording? You and I, we will have words later. Ankle can rotate like so, and bend in quite extraordinary ways for an HG kit. So, the question is, will it Van Damme? And the answer is sort of yes. The only problem is everything else prevents him from going all the way down to the ground. Laughable, I suppose. Laugh. It's funny. Ha 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 ha. Let's move on to accessories. So as you saw before, he normally has these weapons attached to these pylons that come off of his back, but they are removable and even have a retractable handle, so that if he wants to, he can hold them in his hand. And if I remember correctly, they can just slide in without needing to actually disassemble the entire fist, which is nice. He holds them a little bit awkwardly, I suppose, but it is a thing you can do. but normally they are attached here. Just a simple peg and hole. Like so. On his shoulders he has these two large cannons, which are his railguns, if I remember correctly. These are also the reason why I did so much painting. Originally, it called for stickers along here, as well as on these parts, and I couldn't use those. They were horrible. And I knew that if I painted these one color of pink, I would need to paint everything else a matching shade. So it turned this into a bit of a bigger project than originally anticipated. But I think the results speak for themselves. These cannons can rotate up and down and can fold back a little bit, but not much. Your best bet for display is to have them up and over his shoulders, similar to the gun cannon from the original show. In fact, I suspect that's partly what this is referencing, especially with the reddish overall color scheme. Now, this one does do something that is a little bit different from the other Gundam frames. It transforms. So let's take a quick look at that. And thanks to the magic of jump cuts, here it is. And I must say, this is perhaps the most disappointing part of the kit. And it's not the design. The design itself is fine, if perhaps a little uninspired. But the way the kit is engineered does not lend itself to this level of transformation, however simple it may be. Gunpla transformations by themselves are already fraught with problems by virtue of being a model kit as opposed to a toy that is manufactured and pinned together with all that comes with. So because of this, it tends to try to fall apart in your hands while you transform it, and it is incredibly frustrating. I hope you heard that. Anyway, so as I tried to transform this, the V-fin continuously pops off. The entire legs of the back pop off at the hip joint. And getting these all into position that feels correct is fraught with problems. It's just not very enjoyable. And as you can see, the water slide decals I applied to this have also been damaged by the attempt of transformation. It is not good. But here it is for your amusement. Like I said before, it is a quadrupedal gun emplacement, so that way he could fire off these rail guns and commit what apparently are war crimes. Take that as you will. And thankfully this thing is not falling apart on me as I rotate it around for you. It should also be noted that I did paint the little front claws on the shield arm bits. Let's jump back to robot mode and finish off this review. And now we've returned. And I have him in his sort of full assault mode, or whatever you want to call it, where all of his cannons are pointing out and blowing up all the things. Before we move on to final thoughts, I figured we will do a quick comparison with the other IBO kits that we do have handy, such as the Gundam Astaroth, which we reviewed last. It's interesting to see these two next to each other. Astaroth actually comes off looking a little bit taller. That's fascinating. I'm not entirely certain why. It must be the feet are just a little bit bigger than him. Gives him just enough to give him, what, about half a head, quarter of a head on him. And then the Gundam Astaroth Origin that we looked at last time on the last Spooktacular. So, rather nice to have 3 IBO Gundams all in one place. Makes it feel like a set of some sort. But for now, away with you. So yes, overall, I enjoyed this kit. Putting it together is nice, and you can't quite argue with the results that I have at the end, but I did have to put in quite a bit of work to get to this point. So if you are okay with painting and perhaps doing some weathering to really make the kit shine, quote unquote, and willing to overlook the lackluster transformed form, then I believe this would be a kit for you, especially if you're an IBO fan. Otherwise, you might do best to steer clear of it. Anyway, that's my review. Those are my thoughts. Take them or leave them. I don't care what you think personally. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those fine YouTube manipulations. And don't forget, she will be defeated. It's a matter of time. Everything is coming together. Maybe she knows, maybe she doesn't. But her end is nigh. I'll see you all the next time you invade my shelf space.
Please.